you gained some weight probably, which
Yeah,
is a good
yes,
thing to be
yes, yes,
said to a
yes,
pharmacist.
yes. Everybody seeing me tell me that it is the side effect on doing paperwork.
What kind of
You have
paperwork?
a manager for registering the companies and the items, and I have to sit on a desk and replying emails, make discussion with the agents from multinational, putting the dosers on the desk to read it, recheck it, and write some notes for my employees, for the staff that go into the MOH, Ministry
Mm.
of Health, and doing some letters, some declarations for the agents and something like that. So this is a paperwork from the early morning, from 9 o'clock early morning till 3 o'clock afternoon, 5 days or 6 days in a week. So all these factors will make me get some weight. It is not some weight, some kilos of weight.
Well, I mean, abroad we measure that by pound, and if somebody says that you gained a couple of pounds, that's considerably a
Yes,
lot of weight. But here in kilos, the case is a bit different, and
yes.
the pressure on people is a little bit more escalated when it comes to telling people that you got like uh, 5 or 6 kilograms.
And to
Besides,
be honest with you,
uh-huh.
this increase in weight caused some problems to me. I'm a pharmacist. I know the side effects of this increasing in weight, but unfortunately, I cannot get rid of it because of the routine of my work. In the last period, I got hypertension, and there is a PCV, which is the increase in the viscosity of my blood.
Mhm.
In addition, that I cannot walk for long way
Mhm.
because I got tired very easily, fastly.
And is that because there is some correlation between gaining weight and lack of activity?
Both of them, both of them,
Mhm. Has
both of
has the study of pharmacy affected your perception of your health?
no. Really, before going to the College of Pharmacy, I was very care for my health,
Very careful.
walking, yeah, very careful, talking,
Oh,
walking.
but this particular, I'm sorry, but it bugs me if I do not give you a little bit of comment on that word. I was a little bit cautious, not careful. Um,
Mhm,
I think there's some sort of um, word use here
mhm,
that shifts the meaning. If I say I was careful about my weight, I mean it's logically possible and it's grammatically possible, but sometimes in certain contexts like this one, we say uh, I was a little bit cautious about my weight, better than just saying I was a little bit careful. Um, and there is certain kind of difference, of course. So we normally say I was cautious, not to correct you, but just to give you feedback that this is pretty
mhm.
much the way we say that. Okay, that's great. Keep going. Tell me something because I need to shift to another important point.
Yes, I was saying that I was so careful about my food, so careful about the sport, and I was walking long distances from the high school to my house. But unfortunately, when I got a car and be an employee, I'm come to transport by car, even if I want to buy a bread from the about 1 meter or 2 meters from my house.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the story.
that's the story of the family guy.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, on the talking about IELTS,
Yes.
I was wondering, since you brought it up, actually, I had a different agenda for our discussion of tonight. But since you brought that particular important book into
Ah, yeah.
attention, I was wondering if there are any plans this month, upcoming month, in the coming 3 months of taking the IELTS exam.
Well, yes. I'm let. Sorry, I let the plan is open depending on the assessment that you will give me.
Mhm.
If you find me that I'm ready to take the exam and get the score, the needful score, I don't mind, and have no problem to do the registration and going to take the exam. I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't mind. This is depending on your assessment, Mr. Walid.
Okay, well, that's a lot of trust to put in a modest teacher like me, of course. Um, however, I still see unsatisfactory performance in writing,
Mm,
and that is because just simply not because you're not doing well or anything. It's just
mm,
uh, the uh, the idea that we still haven't practiced enough models for writing, and
mhm,
that is on the expense, of course, the time we spend together. And this is totally, um, you know, coming from the fact that you have obligations, and I do have obligations, and I'm trying to make ends meet. Um,
Okay, and that what attracted me by the address of that book. So I shared it with you if it will be useful to me to improve my
no,
ability.
no matter what kind of, well, we have to define what usefulness is.
Mm,
First of all, so you need to determine to me before I tell you whether it's useful or not. And by the way, that book is not available. I
mm,
couldn't find that book. But first of all, we need to understand the definition of usefulness to you from your own side and from my own side. And then on
mhm,
based on that, we can determine if there are certain sources that are useful to you, provided that we have a clear definition of the word useful. Now,
mhm,
I'm bringing this up for the simple reason that there are there are gigabytes of data online that serve the purpose of getting sufficient training for IELTS. However, comma,
mhm,
um, we do not necessarily need to rely and check every source online just because it says get IELTS score 9 easily. I mean,
mhm.
there are there is we need to admit that there is a sense of commercialism that
You have to
permeates,
filter.
that goes into the publishing of these sources, and also there are people who are promoting these sources, and sometimes what's useful to you can be free, and what's not useful to you can be paid thousands of dollars to get. Um, no matter what kind of source you find online, ultimately it is you, your mind, your listening skills, your writing
Mhm.
skills that will determine whether you get a higher score or not, in addition to your speaking skills. So
Yes.
no matter what kind of source, it's just going to be a facilitator to the objective or the target that you're planning to get at this particular time during this duration of training.
Mhm.
So going back to square number one, I will ask you just directly, what do you mean by useful?
Well, I mean by useful that way that increase my ability to write well according to the requirements of IELTS that lead me to take a high score. And maybe it contains more examples, more templates. Maybe it contains some essays that repeated by the examiner future with the ideal answers.
No,
That's my definition for useful regarding this book.
well, very valid definition. And I think you have full justification for why you're intending to get this or obtain this sort of source. And there are hundreds of sources like this. We are not restricted and abided by this particular one. We have other
Mhm,
options if this is not available on the shelves
mhm,
of the internet, of course, or the pirated websites.
mhm.
Um, so I sent you
But
that
by
doc.
the way, Walid, I didn't looking for this book. I found it in one page in Facebook, someone talking about it, and it attracted me.
Did you
Why? And that's why I asked
download
you.
it?
No,
Okay.
no, because there was talking about the download through Telegram, and I have no Telegram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, well, I'll try to get my hands on this book and
Hmm.
determine whether the kind of quality of the materials in that book. I can say from the first 10 pages whether that book is useful or not, because there's those people who try to just give you the gist, the butter of, or the cream of what you need to do and to work on, just because we are adults and we don't have the whole world
And
time
I
to.
need the bread and butter, not the butter alone.
Of course, well, yeah, in your case, because you need protein.
Yes.
So what I will do, I'll just go ahead and search for that one. But for this particular book, I just want you to open the link to the Skype document that I sent you here. This is just a
Yes, I
guideline.
did, which is IELTS task 2 samples dedicated to me.
Oh yeah, that's the one. So I cut some of the essays from the internet and I just posted that in this document. So I chose around 20. But
I
here,
like this type of painting.
what kind of painting?
This photo on the under the dedicated of
Oh,
me.
okay. Okay.
Yes, it's
Well, I didn't
it's
want to
reminded
leave
me
it
by,
blank.
yeah, it's reminded me by the works of Van Gogh, something like that.
Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Um, so what I wanted to say is that the kind, do you hear me?
Yes, I do.
What you see here is just a model guideline to work by.
Hmm.
Probably if you go through every one of them, just go through every one of them and see what's there that connects you to them. Um, what kind of writing, what kind of word choice that you see there that you
They are
find.
my last tasks, but with the ideal answer. Am I right?
By the way, I can give you feedback for this writing to determine whether it's good or not, and it's not eligible to point 9. These are just sample responses by native speakers and non-native speakers
Mm.
for the IELTS test. They are
Okay.
not necessarily 100% perfect, so we have to take them with a grain of salt. A
Yes.
grain of salt. يعني شوية الكريديبيليتي مالتهم يعني لازم ناخذها شويه ملح، يعني يعني من نصدقها 100%. We should
Mm-hmm.
not take it for granted. We should take it with a grain of salt. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what you see here, let me pull out this document to just show you a better example. Now, do you see the document or not?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. So what we do have here is, do you agree that the advantages cars bring outweigh the disadvantages? We'll probably remember this because we've spent some time doing a little bit of practice on that one. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I've been hiding the rest of the items just because I just wanted to focus on creating the model for your
Mm-hmm.
writing, but not to extensively go through hundreds of models and stay lagging behind in terms of the word choice,
Yes.
the cohesion, task completion, lexical diversity, and grammar. These are the major points that we have here. What you notice here is that using cars has been increasingly common in the recent years, which is very good, valid statement that tells us that the person is fully aware of what he's trying to say and he's creating very strong statement in this
Mm-hmm.
regard. So he's just determining a kind of cause, a kind of problem. Like, for example, car traffic in Baghdad has been increasingly damaging people's psychological behavior in recent years.
Yes.
Although that the government has been maintaining the escalating number of cars in recent years, but it seems that there hasn't been enough done to reduce the psychological effects of getting stuck in traffic or being stuck in traffic for longitudinal hours.
Mhm.
This is the statement. And then you probably, if the essay asks you to agree or disagree, to confirm or deny, if the essay asks you to debate with or against, all of that is determined by the kind of question. And then
Mm.
on one hand, whenever he says on one hand, as you notice here, he is saying on the other hand. And there is this
Yes, of
joint.
course. Mhm.
There is this joint here, as you notice. There's very good joint that the gentleman is, well, the writer is of course creating when it comes to see, I'll just give me 1 second. I just want to choose a different color to
Mhm.
point. You see this one? Uh,
Yes.
So this particular one. And then he's writing 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. So um, um, ample number of words. He's not repeating the words. And then he's saying in conclusion, which is just
Yes.
an indicator that having a car can lead to few obvious problems. But I believe that owning a car is the best choice, and the benefits that it brings about can outshine its drawbacks. So remember, what he's doing here is using present simple, and
Mhm.
it's clearly apparent here. Going back, although I think, so that's present simple.
Mm.
You notice that. Um, what else do we have? Let's say that it maintains present simple.
Yes.
I strongly believe present simple. Owning cars has a significant that's present. The first reason is that that's present. So there is consistency. As you notice here, the writer is very consistent. He is not jumping back and forth between past and present and future without creating good, sufficient introduction to the transition
Mhm.
backward or forward. More
Mhm.
cars are likely to result. That is very clear and present simple. So we always go and uh, make it as simple as possible. I'll just give you an
Mhm.
introduction about this, just criticism of what's going on in here. On the one hand, he is adding firstly, and then once he said firstly, we may expect secondly, or therefore, or
Mhm.
finally, as you notice here, and for
Yeah.
instance. So you see, there's these
Yeah.
kind of joints, like the joints of the body that connects one
Mhm.
sentence to the next, one article to the next, one clause to the next, one phrasal verb to the next. And it's very clear. Now, the interesting thing is not within the paragraph itself, it's actually the connection between paragraphs.
Mhm.
So if you look here, people may have, let me just notice here, people may have higher chances of carrying more potential health risks like obesity and heart attacks. And he's stopping there. And then on the one hand, there are many reasons why people prefer owning cars. So there's very good introduction. And then here, what he's saying, um, this becomes especially helpful when there are elderly, the disabled, or even sick members in the families. And then in
Yes.
conclusion, very clear. We move on to the next one. When choosing a
Mhm.
job, the salary is the most important consideration. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So it's a matter of agreeing or disagreeing. You remember this because we wrote about it.
Yes, I remember, and remember also the essay or the question that contain if agree or not agree. I have to express about the feeling of uh, both sides, who agree
Definitely.
and why, and
For
who
sake of
disagree and why.
non-bias,
Yes.
for sake of non-bias, we have to offer the two sides of the equation to
Mhm.
balance and counterbalance any kind of
Mhm.
tendency of subjectivity here. It is
Mhm.
true that the salary plays an integral part in selecting career or slash choosing a job. That's a very strong statement. I believe this is where the statement begins اللي هو بيانك أو الرأي
Mhm.
الخاص بك. It should be here in the first paragraph. Now, what happens on one hand, and then on the other
On
hand,
the other hand,
you see very consistent and in conclusion. And the number of words are 330. In fact, we can go beyond 300, but it's preferable to stick with 300 because we emphasize quality over quantity here.
Mhm.
Um, Notice here, what I am digging for is grammatical tools that connect. See, for example, in
In
fact,
fact, yes.
on the other hand,
Mhm.
and then if we shift upper, there is definitely some connections here besides or in addition. I mean, you can
Mhm.
use one of them.
Yes, I
By
think
the
I see
way, is
that.
the font clear or not?
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Okay. So see, there's some solid writing, but simple writing. You know, I guarantee you, probably you know 99% of the text here. It is just how you employ it
Yes.
that makes it impactful, influential, or effective on the reader. You just have to
Mhm.
make sure that you keep it simple, but connected in a better way.
Mhm.
What do you think of this essay? How much do you give this essay?
Now, after your modification,
No, I mean this one that you see in front of you. How many points do you give it out of 9?
at least 6.5.
Well, that's very modest, but not generous. I think it deserves, let's say, 7 or
Mhm.
7.5. And remember, the difference between 6.5 to 7 is only 2 points, like two extra things that you do to determine that this is eligible for
On the overall score,
overall. Overall.
yeah.
Okay. Now, what we are doing tonight, we're just going through samples, and
Mhm.
then we are going to choose one and then practice on that.
Mhm.
But the practice tonight is going to be a little bit tricky. It's not going to be as expected in the regular liberty and luxury that you have at home. I'll just um, monitor you and give you a time to do it now. Um, some people believe that unpaid community, well, this is just trash. I don't like the title. Let's move to another one. People should follow the customs and traditions when people start to live in a new country. To what extent do you agree or disagree? By the way, these are questions that happened to come in IELTS previous tests. So they are not off the grid when it comes to whether they are important or relevant or not. They are valid. They are part of the IELTS test community, and this kind of question or these kind of questions happen to be part of the IELTS examinations before.
Mhm.
So don't take them with a grain of salt. They take them for granted as very valid questions. However, as I said, it's not a matter of the multiplicity of sources, Osama. It's the
Mhm.
quality of writing that you invest in developing, chiseling, improving your writing style when it comes to presenting something solid and straightforward, simplistic, clear, and readable. Because sometimes we think Arabic, we transfer to English, and we fall through this kind of
Mhm.
um, let's say كيزم يعني هفوة
Mhm.
that just makes us anyways. um, just tell me what you notice here in terms of grammar, like what kind of joints or tools are they using here?
Um, there are two important reasons. This
Hmm.
one.
Okay.
Firstly, secondly, And
How about I strongly agree and disagree? What do you think this
this
is?
is, yes. I strongly agree with this idea because problems, benefits. I think this is a strong statement.
Mhm. Now, look
Uh,
at this part. From my own perspective, he's not using from my own point of view because this is very cliche, this kind
mm,
of old-fashioned expression. So he's using a better, more formal expression, which is from my own perspective, like from my own point of view, from my own perspective. He's just using a better version of academic
mm.
writing here, just because he wants to show that to the reader, which is the IELTS examiner, that I know my damn English and I know
So,
how to
so,
write well.
so when he used respective, he adopted the idea or not? This is the point of view of the writer or not?
Of course, this is the point of view of writer. And by the way, you can go with or against. The idea is not whether you agree or disagree. The
Mhm.
idea is how to present your thoughts of agreement or disagreement and whether that's convincing or not. I am
Yes.
not going to judge you whether you like or
Yeah,
whether you
of
like
course.
or dislike atheism, um, which is not believing in God. But what
Yes.
I do
I just
focus on.
want to see if I agree for what reasons and if I
Mhm.
disagree for what reasons.
Okay, so here, see, there's this diversity he's using first, and he's not just leaving it there, but he's saying the refusal to adopt to host environment. See, host environment, he's using very formal academic words, would create a cultural barrier for immigrants. This leads, see, consistency, present simple, which
Mhm.
has negative influence on people's life. See the punctuation, very clear.
Mhm.
Secondly, it is so present simple
Yeah.
again,
What
logical
about
slash
you?
true. You can use one, that limited knowledge of what here limited, is it a verb or adjective?
Where that's limited?
Don't give me an echo word.
Mm.
Just say an adjective or a verb.
No, adjective.
It's an adjective because what comes after that is knowledge, and knowledge is a noun. So
Yes.
limited knowledge is an adjective by default.
Mhm.
So he's using, see what he's using um, adjectives to describe nouns. And you remember when we tried to add as many adjectives to nouns, because that is going to give that a colorful image in the mind of the reader. So here,
Mhm.
when we say limited knowledge, it's different from saying true knowledge. Uh,
Mhm.
Instead of saying customs, we say local customs. So he's specifically referring to a particular custom. See, illegal actions. So he's using illegal, which is a noun that functions as an adjective to describe actions.
Mhm.
See, and then he's using Singapore, for instance. So this is in terms of task completion, he's doing great job. In terms of cohesion and coherence, he's doing great job connecting the paragraphs. In terms of task completion, cohesion and coherence, lexical diversity, so he's using a lot of highly academic words. And in terms of grammar, he's doing great job, but he's just aware of the fact that if he goes beyond the 2 to 3 sentences, al-azmina, he may lose the track of what he wrote. So he's keeping it very simple to present simple. Also,
Mhm.
local residents consider, that's past, correct?
Yes. No, not best. Present.
Present, okay.
Present.
Anyone dirty and ill-mannered. So he's using these adjectives again. Newcomers can gain some benefits, and then blah blah blah. He's not keeping it that way. He's just creating some connections. For example, you see, point and illustrate and give examples. Point, illustrate, and give examples. In many festivals, another, and then in lovely conclusion, 2 lines. I will argue, or I would argue. You're scratching your head. Does that mean it doesn't make sense to you?
Argue?
I don't know. You scratch your head. Is that because you have lice in
No,
your
no,
hair, or
no, no. I
because
had.
it doesn't
I'm
make any
thinking.
sense to you?
No, no, no. I was thinking about the for instance, or for example, after illustration. My question is, after illustration, I have to put an example.
Well, it's preferable to give examples because I mean, whatever you say, it's going to be just pure opinionated statement.
Mhm.
يعني رأي ارتجالي, improvised, if you do not provide hypothetical examples. Just
Mm.
say a convincing example, even if it's fake. By the way,
Okay.
just pretend that you know some statisticians who, for some reason, know the fact of what they're doing, and then
Mm.
just build on that kind of statement. In the conclusion, you just need to wrap it up by re-emphasizing and rephrasing. In conclusion, wrap it up by re-emphasizing and um, rephrasing. In conclusion, wrap it up by re-emphasizing and rephrasing your statement here. So I would argue
That's why
that
I scratched my hair.
say it again.
That's why I scratch my hair.
Oh, okay. I thought you have lice because I have some good medicine for that one.
No, I don't like that. I don't think so. Okay.
Okay, just joking. Um, uh, I would argue that people who dwell in a new see, I love this word so much. Dwell instead of live, because live is very cliche word. It's just telling people that I know the word dwell. Dwell is to live, to live
Mhm.
in particular place. And by the way, when we say let's not dwell on that, it means يعني لا نلزق بهذا الموضوع، لا نظل باقين به، يعني لا نظل
Do not
نناقش
stick. Do
يعني
not
خلينا
stick.
نتحول، خلينا نتحرك. Let's not
Mhm.
dwell on that. In a new country should follow the custom. So he has presented in the beginning, look here, I strongly agree with the idea because of some problems and benefits that people can face with them. And then in conclusion, I would argue that people who dwell in a new country should follow the custom. He's just rephrasing and restating the statement that he put in the beginning. The custom centers which local people observe.
Mhm.
Local people observe. Now, the word observe is not watch, it means do. So tomorrow or the day after, when you observe Ramadan, it means that you fast. تأدي.
But this is a specific meanings here,
For yes, definitely.
because
But
sometimes we are using. Uh, yes.
sorry, the word observe has a couple of very important different meanings. Like I observe you while you're taking the
Oh
test.
yeah.
Um, but people observe fasting or observe Ramadan. It means they perform the act of fasting in Ramadan.
Mhm.
They observe the prayer, means that they do the prayer, and it's kind of like fixed expression, fixed meaning. To observe is to do certain rituals for the purpose of worshiping God.
Mhm.
Are we
Okay.
good?
Yes, we are good.
Okay, perfect. So let me cut this part here, and then what I will do is very simple. Just look at this example that of the essay, the same one that starts with sample 4. Do you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you and reading the address of the topic.
Okay, so for sample 4, what I want you to do is simply tell me verbally by voice.
Mhm.
Uh, and since I don't want to occupy you with a lot of writing, I'll take the job of writing here. What I will
Mhm.
do is give me 1 second here. Let's say now I want you to tell me as if you are going to tell me what to write. I want you to dictate what you should say as response in this for the introduction. I will give you 5 minutes.
Mhm.
You are going to tell me what I write, and I will write it here, and you are going to watch me writing it until we come to a consensus. I'll send you this document, and I will just ask you to finish it.
Mhm. Based on this topic, the,
Yes, sir.
the
Sample 4.
okay.
Just give me the introduction here.
Introduction. While some people think that social media is a way for make the people closer to each other and sharing the information or the feelings,
Wait, 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 wait,
I
wait. Wait. We're not talking about what we're talking. We're talking about sample 4. People should follow the customs and traditions when people start to live.
no, it was another topic. I read something related with technologies.
No, go to sample 4. Are we on the same page? Read sample 4, the one that I was just talking about.
Let me just remember the topic. This was sample 8
No,
nowadays.
what I
Okay.
want you is to go here. Do you see it? Sample 4.
Yes. Yes.
This is the question. People
People
should
to
follow the
follow the
customs and
and traditions.
traditions when
Mhm.
starting or when starting to live abroad in a new country. Are we clear?
Yes, we are clear.
Okay, so just go to the beginning as if you're just thinking out loud about what you want to say.
Well, I think to say that there are two sides or two types or two kinds of people. One of them that living according to their own way,
Okay,
whatever
give me
or
1 second.
wherever. Yes.
Go back to the beginning and tell me what to write, but in a slower
Mm.
pace.
Yes.
There are.
No, delete there are and start with while there are while there are some people
Mhm.
living according to their own way wherever they are living.
Mhm.
There are another there are another type of people or kind of people that follow the instruction and obey the law orders in the country that they are resident in.
I'm not going to comment on your grammar because this is your responsibility.
Mhm,
But I see that this sentence is a good in a way and needs some fixation and a little
mhm,
bit of feedback on other ways. First of all, let's have a look here at what you said. I know that you're just thinking out loud, and I am going to have no objection on that. But it's just the foundation here on which we are building some constructive essay with good quality of feedback, as just like the ones that I send you regularly, like with my comments and my voice and my recording of what
mhm,
you wrote and what you have to do and how to fixate that or fix it. There are some people who live, uh, some people living according to their. Now, this is kind of awkward. Like we can say there are, while there are people who live according to their own principles, because the word way is kind of informal. The word living is not following the consistency of tense or time. So you have to
mhm.
put it in the present simple. There are another, which is my type of another. When you say there are another type of people, we're talking about people. So we have to say whether there are other types of people or there are other type of people, because people is plural word.
Yes.
Are we good? So
Yeah.
this is just an example here on which we can build a very solid foundation of writing independent essay. This is going to be the last essay I will give you feedback on in terms of task 2. And then after my feedback, I will determine whether we keep working on this task 2 or shift to task 1. But I will send you some feedback, and I will send you some recommendations of sources that you have to work on in order
Okay.
to just be aware of the necessary items that we have to put in consideration or have in consideration or bear in mind when it comes to excelling in our performance in writing task 2. Are we good?
Yes, we are good.
So what I want you to do is just to be continued, and then what I want you to do is just simply I'll send you this document. I just want you to fill it up with 300 words and then send it to me at your convenient time this week. Probably
This week.
tomorrow and the day after is going to be Ramadan, so probably you'll got some fluctuating energy and performance issues and
By
some
the way,
sluggish
Ramadan Kareem for you and your family, Walid.
Say it again.
Ramadan Kareem for you and your family.
Likewise, Habibi,
God
likewise.
bless you.
So
Thank you.
hopefully, fingers crossed that everything goes as planned and we get a little bit of feedback. This is task number 1. Task number 2, you have to do
Okay.
it to me, or I will just, well, this is not a warning. This is just, let me rephrase what I said, because it seemed to me, it's a statement, because it seems to me that it's a warning. So the second one is a link to IELTS listening test. Do not procrastinate more than a week to send me the results. I assure you, I'll be upset. So I sent it to you on your on your Skype. Just click on it. Give me the answers on answer sheet like this. Sorry.
Okay.
And then I'll just give you the grading, and then we can determine how much we need to work on in terms of listening, in terms of well, not in terms of speaking, because you're a good speaker, in terms of listening and in terms of writing.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yes, we are good.
Enjoy your relaxing time with your family. Happy Ramadan and blessed Ramadan. May God keep you safe, you and your family, and blessed
likewise, Dr. Walid. Thank you.
All the day, all the week, all the month, and all the year.
Thank you very much.
Say hi to your family, and inshallah, after Eid, we can get together so we can chat a little bit, have a cup of coffee, and then, you know, have fun.
Make sure to take the vaccination.
Inshallah. Inshallah this week. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much, Habibi, and stay around. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.